Last year, we lost an absolute rock and roll icon when Ozzy Osbourne passed away at the age of 76. Yes, it was a sad day for those who knew and loved him, and a huge loss to the metal fans around the world who considered him a pioneer of the genre we love. But man, what a way to go out. Just weeks before his death, Ozzy took the stage one last time in his home of Birmingham, England, to headline the Back to the Beginning festival, performing one last set of solo material followed by the final performance of Black Sabbath with all 4 original members. It was a beautiful moment for music, and although we didn't know how much time he had left, it was the perfect public send-off for the larger-than-life rocker. Released just a few months after his death, Ozzy's second biography, Last Rites, reveals just how fortunate we are that the Back to the Beginning show even happened. Hey, it's Matt, and today on Loud Lit, I'm reviewing Last Rites, the posthumous memoir from Ozzy Osbourne, written with Chris Ayres and published in October 2025. It's a candid and often hilarious look at the final years of a metal legend. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to help others find the show. It's an easy way to encourage fellow music lovers to dive deeper into the stories behind their favorite artists. If you're a metal fan, go back a few episodes and check out the review of Dark Days by Lamb of God's Randy Bly. And by the way, I recently launched another podcast all about heavy metal. It's called The Noise Report. 3 metal fans discussing classic albums, and then each one comes to the table with albums or bands you should check out if you're a fan of that classic. If you're an old-timer like us, this is a good way to discover heavy music that might not be on your radar. Search for The Noise Report wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, let's talk Ozzy and Last Rites. The main story thread of Last Rites is of Ozzy trying to launch one more world tour, but constantly running into setbacks. Between his Parkinson's, a freak accident that nearly broke his neck, and the COVID-19 pandemic, the singer and his band crew and fans can't seem to catch a break. The hospital visits and physical therapy take their toll on the aging Prince of Darkness, but his biggest frustration is having to disappoint his legions of devoted fans with postponement announcements. Despite the one step forward, 2 steps back nature of this story arc, Ozzy never stops being Ozzy. He discusses his frustrations honestly, but with his trademark irreverent wit. For example, when Sharon caught COVID and Ozzy didn't, she said, "Maybe you are indestructible." And he replied, "Must be all the devil worshipping." Last Rites also provides plenty of hilarious anecdotes, mostly in the form of his reminiscing about his lengthy career in the music world. I won't spoil any of those stories, you're just going to have to read it yourself. At one point, he mentions the movie Spinal Tap and which moments felt like they were written specifically about Black Sabbath. In fact, so many Spinal Tap scenes were realistic enough that Ozzy admits the first time he watched the movie, he didn't realize it was a comedy. He writes, "Pretty much every scene in Spinal Tap was just another day at work for me." The book bounces between the struggles to launch the tour and Ozzy thinking back on his life. It reads like a conversation with an older person who's trying to tell one story, but keeps getting sidetracked with other stories he just has to tell in that moment. And I mean that in a good way. Reading Last Rites is like having a conversation with a beloved grandparent. No matter how many detours the tales take, you don't interrupt, because those detours are as interesting as the main story. Of course, Ozzy reflects on his time in Black Sabbath, especially his friendship with drummer Bill Ward. He opted not to dwell on his infamous firing from the band, instead focusing on funny stories of the wild times he had with Sabbath during that decade-long run. He talks about having made peace with being replaced by Ronnie James Dio, saying that Sabbath moving on from Ozzy was, at that time, the best thing that could have happened to him and the best thing to happen to his former bandmates. Metal fans who know their history won't be blown away by new facts about the Sabbath years. Instead, they'll find value in Ozzy's reflections on his past and how he feels now with the benefit of time and wisdom. But even when telling humorous stories, Ozzy speaks candidly about the drug and alcohol addictions that caused so much pain for him and those close to him. But with this book being penned late in his life, he has new types of pain to detail, and he writes very openly about the challenges that come with aging. "I'd hit rock bottom a few times in my life, but always from booze and drugs. In June of 2022, I hit rock bottom from spinal surgery and Parkinson's." Yes, fans of rock and metal will love the wild stories from this music icon, but Last Rites has a much more universal appeal. At its core, this is a book about aging and coming to grips with one's own physical limitations. The book's through line is Ozzy's determination to perform live, despite his continuous health setbacks. This first-hand account of a man in his 70s learning to accept that his days of carrying out his life's work, and in fact his days themselves, are nearing their end, is both heartbreaking and inspiring. Thanks for listening. Please rate, review, and subscribe so you can keep getting music book recommendations. And if you want your own copy of Last Rites, click the bookshop link in the show notes. When you do, you'll be supporting Loudlit as well as independent booksellers. And once again, search for The Noise Report in any podcast app and discover some new bands and albums that you heavy metal fans can rock out to. My name is Matt. Until next time, keep reading, keep rocking. Rest in power, Ozzy Osbourne.